next on September 17th, you and Detective Seitz conduct an interview with Mr. Pahl, right?
That is correct.
And we watched all of those videos yesterday. We're not going to watch them again today, but I want to talk to you about some of the inconsistencies that you might have observed during that video. When you first started speaking with Mr. Pahl, could he immediately tell you where he had last seen her?
No.
And when I say her, I should clarify, Miss Pavlons.
No, he could not.
Did that seem unusual to you?
It did.
And how did that, I guess, play into the kinds of questions and how you set up that interview?
Well, it was determined that we wanted to hear from Mr. Pahl as to his information or his knowledge of the last time he had seen Stephanie. Again, to find out what he might know as to where she was last seen, what she might have been doing when they were last together.
Okay. And in fact, it was about, you heard Detective Seitz testify, it was about 27 minutes into the interview before he finally told you that he last saw Stephanie when he was at OAW, right?
There was some time from the beginning until the time he mentioned OAW.
And every time you asked him about where he had last seen Stephanie or where they had last been together, what was the myriad of his responses?
He would often go back to the fact that she was on several different kinds of medications, that she had seizures, and she had a history of being suicidal and running off into the woods.
When you start that investigation, or sorry, that interview with Mr. Pahl, you did not tell him that Ms. Pavlons was dead?
No.
Why not?
Again, we wanted to sort of take I would call it a soft approach, and just have him tell us what he knew. Tell us, when's the last time you saw her, what was she doing, what was happening, and so we just wanted to tell him, hey, she's missing, and tell us when you last saw her, where she might have been going.
When you start that interview with Mr. Pahl, had you decided that Mr. Pahl was already guilty?
No.
Why not?
We were still actively working the investigation. He was a part of the investigation, for sure, and based on what we knew, he was likely the last person at that point that we knew that was with her.
Okay, and so you're just trying to find out what could have happened after she's seen on video on August 23rd?
That is correct.
So early on in the interview, Mr. Pahl claims that he found Stephanie's purse on September 6th, I believe it was.
That's correct.
He didn't give you that specific date, but later in your investigation, were you able to determine what date it was?
We were.
Okay. So when he tells you this about the purse, what were some inconsistencies about the purse that he told you?
Well, I believe he first said they found it in the back seat, and he also said that it was in the front seat on the floor. And I think he kind of went back and forth a couple of times as to where that purse was.
Okay. He also admitted to you that it was the black purse earlier on in the interview, right?
When asked, he did say that it was a black purse.
Very difficult to get Mr. Pahl to actually answer the questions that you asked, right?
It was.
Long, winding road to get to just a few simple answers.
Yes, ma'am.
What about his phone, or Stephanie's phone? What did Mr. Pahl say about Stephanie's phone that appeared to be inconsistent with your investigation?
Well, he started off by telling us that Stephanie had, prior to going into his appointment at OAW, he said, I'll text you when I get in there, or I'll text you. And she responded to him and said, I left my phone at home. He then said that when he came out, she was gone, and he thought maybe she had called her mom to give her a ride. And we knew through the investigation at that point that Stephanie's phone had traveled with Matt and Matt's phone to OAW, and that Stephanie's phone and Matt's phone traveled back to Mr. Pahl's apartment.
And that ultimately Stephanie Pavlons did not, again, enter the apartment.
Correct.
Okay. He actually said even earlier in the investigation, well, she's got her phone, so she's fine, right?
Yes.
And then later changes the story to she doesn't have her phone.
Correct. He said he found it at the apartment later.
And he admits to actually using her phone while the phone is at his apartment with him, right?
Yes.
it was quite a while into the interview before he says, you know, I think the day that she took off was that day I had my appointment, right?
Yes.
And what was his version of what happens on August 23rd?
He said that he went in for his appointment at OAW. When he came out, she was gone. And again, he stated that he figured that her mom or parents had picked her up, and he stated that he drove up and down the road looking for her.
Okay. You said that at this point you've already reviewed some of her phone records. Was the defendant seen on the phone records driving up and down looking for her?
The phone records did not indicate that.
Okay. Now, had you had an opportunity to previously talk to Georgianne and Richard Pavlons about Stephanie's habits, carrying her phone, carrying her purse?
Yes.
And you've heard Georgianne testify that Stephanie would always have her phone, right?
That is true.
So based on Mr. Pahl's statements to you, you were finding some inconsistencies in his statements.
We did.
Mr. Pahl told you that she had a habit of taking off into the woods, right?
He did.
And he actually told you about a time in the Dells just recently that had happened, right?
Yes.
Did you contact law enforcement agencies in the area of the Dells to find out if there'd been any sort of police report?
I myself did not. Detective Plennis had contacted all of the sheriff's departments and local police departments in the area of the Dells to see if they had any information on a Stephanie Pavlons in recent history, and all responded negatively.
Okay, and ultimately that also didn't match up with the testimony of Georgianne, right?
Correct.
Judge, I don't object to that last statement. It was a misstatement of testimony. Georgianne indicated she could not remember if Stephanie had gone into the woods.
There's been cross-examinations for him. No, I'll overrule the objection.
At some point, I think it's about an hour into the interview, Mr. Pahl first mentions finding a note in the car.
He does.
What was that about?
He tells us that he had found something at the car wash and that he figured we already had it since we had his truck. And he also tells us that he read the note that he found, shared the note with his father. His interpretation to his, being Mr. Pahl's interpretation to us of that note, was that it was not a life-threatening letter.
And at this point, the car hasn't been searched, right?
Correct.
So you really don't know what he's talking about when he keeps saying, well, you found the note, you know what I'm talking about, right?
We told him many times that we had not been a part of any search of his vehicle.
So at the time that you're doing the interview, all you know is what Mr. Pahl tells you.
Yes.
He also made some statement if he had found the purse and the note together, that would have really worried him, right?
He did.
Okay. What was inconsistent about that statement and what he'd already told you?
Well, he had said that he found the purse and the note at the same time when he was cleaning his truck at the car wash. And then he later told us that had he seen the note and the purse together, that would have triggered him to call the police.
And Mr. Pahl never called the police, right?
We have no indication that he did.
The first contact that Mr. Pahl has with law enforcement is on the day that you execute the search warrant at his house and ultimately interview him, right?
Yes.
Mr. Pahl admitted in the interview that he'd actually not only used her phone, but actually had seen some text messages on Stephanie's phone, right?
Yes.
He talked about seeing a prescription was ready.
Yes.
Okay. And would that be consistent with one of the prescriptions that was located in that stein?
Yes.
Repeatedly throughout the interview, Mr. Pahl says he has a really bad feeling, right?
Words to that effect, yes.
Does he ever clarify with you what he has a bad feeling about?
No.
Tell me about when you and Detective Seitz show Mr. Pahl those screenshots of the video his demeanor and what his reaction was.
Well, initially he told us that it was not a purse. He indicated that it was clothing in there. Detective Seitz showed him, I think maybe a more zoomed in photo from his phone. And then Mr. Paul became irritated for sure at it and maintained that it was not, in fact, Stephanie's purse, that it was clothes from his truck.
He even says that's not going to prove anything, right?
Twice he told us that. Yes.
He also tells you that he had an appointment at OAW on September 9th.
Yes,
And later you were able to confirm that was true, right?
that is correct.
But a lot of what he asked you about, and he was asking you a lot of questions, was what was going on at OAW on September 9th, right?
Yes.
Did you or Detective Seitz ever indicate to him that your questions related to Stephanie had anything to do with the scene that occurred on September 9th at OAW?
I don't believe we did.